That's what she should say. It's so courageous that you feel like you can leave for 5 days.
Oh my
Must
God.
be
If she said that, she would get like the Wife of the Year award.
A quick note before we get into the episode. Oversharing is a podcast for entertainment purposes only. It is not a medical podcast and does not constitute medical or psychological advice. Always seek the advice of your physician or mental health professional. Hello and welcome back to Oversharing. I'm Jordana Abraham.
And I am Dr. Naomi Bernstein.
So nice to be back. I'm back from vacay.
Looked so nice. There's
Beautiful
something
beaches. Yeah, it was
so
really nice.
special about like the Caribbean water. It's just like crystal. I was looking at your photos and it transported me. I mean, like just to a different place. It's heavenly.
It was beautiful. I can't recommend it enough. Cayman Islands. Really, really beautiful beaches. Not every Caribbean island has like beaches that are the same color. I feel like the water sometimes looks a little nicer in some
Yeah.
places versus others, but
Beach snob.
beach snob. I'm a beach snob, I guess. Beach snob, yeah. But I did want to say, I thought of this podcast because we were flying back yesterday and we took Cayman Airways, as you do,
Okay.
the official airline of the Cayman Islands. And when given a choice of meal from Cayman Airways, the choices were vegetable wrap, turkey wrap, or tuna wrap.
Tuna wrap
Tuna
served on
wrap.
the plane.
Yes, by the plane staff, one of 3 options. And I got it. I got the tuna wrap
Yes.
almost as like a little FU to anyone who was saying that tuna is in fact not a plain food. It is so much a plain food that it is one of the 3 options
Amazing.
given by the flight. And
Yeah,
might I
maybe.
say that if you have something against plain food, maybe you have something against Caribbean culture
Yeah, there we go. I was going to
or
say,
tuna plain food rather.
right. Maybe I was going to say it's like an American sensitivity, oversensitivity thing that like in the Caribbean, you have fish breath. Walk around, take a
Yeah.
deep breath, meditate loudly, lion's breath.
I got into it. Yeah. I felt vindicated for you, for
Thank you.
me, for Maddie.
I appreciate it. I'm going to
I
tell her.
tell her,
Yeah.
I felt it was a nice feeling. But it was a great trip. I tried to do what you said in terms of like being really present, which is hard. It's so for some reason it's like all your no matter like where you are, I feel like your intrusive home thoughts of like the things that it's very hard to like fully get out of that
Yes.
even if you do change your setting or your location to not just, switch back into the same 4 apps you use every day.
The thoughts are so
Yeah.
loud. The thoughts are so loud. That's why a lot of times it's helpful to look at it as like when you're trying to do that, like you're literally doing like a workout for your mind. Because it's almost
Right.
like if you go to the gym and you're like, really working out and you're going to make a change, you're doing the stair climber and you start to feel like, oh, this is hard. I'm just going to stop, then you're not really going to make any change. Or you're lifting a weight and you're like, oh, at the end of this feels really hard. It's like when you notice that your mind keeps going back,
Right.
it's not physical. So it's hard to notice because it's not like, ouch, this hurts. But if you
That's why
can,
it's so hard.
yeah,
Yeah.
if you can think about it as like, ouch, this hurts to stay here almost like this is uncomfortable to stay here because it is, but it doesn't make sense. Like, why should this be uncomfortable for me to stare at the Caribbean Ocean right now and listen to the waves? Like, why is that uncomfortable?
Right. It's so weird because it is like, you know what I mean? Like when you're working out, you can tell it's working because you're sweating and it
Yes.
hurts
Yes.
and it just your body feels like different, but it's such a much more subtle thing when it's your mind.
Yes. Totally. It's very subtle. And that's why sometimes like setting aside time where you're like, this is the time when I'm doing it. That's when it's easier to kind of be like, okay, I'm really in the moment of this. This is my training session. That's how you have to kind of look at it. And then it will happen more naturally by itself once you do those training sessions as often as you can. So yeah, I totally get that, but yeah, it's just that coming back to it, but I it sounds like you enjoyed the trip, mindful or not. But when you're in those big moments, like I saw you posted the picture with the stingray, like
Yeah.
in the like I'm sure you were mindful and like you weren't thinking about checking your apps or like
Right.
what you had to do at home. You're like noticing this texture of like the smooth skin of the stingray and like you're probably just really in the moment in that moment.
That's true. Really just need someone to confiscate our phones, I
Yes.
think.
So true.
You know,
Um
it's like I can't there really would be no greater like mental challenge, I think, than someone just taking my phone for I don't know, one day,
right.
one full day.
Yeah. Yeah, or like a week even. I just really wonder what would
Mhm.
happen. A full week because you're just that's your automatic thought is like check, check. It's like check. Just
Right.
constant checking. Check this, check that, check this, check the other. Like checking to see if there's something that's gonna change
Yeah.
something for you in some way. And
Do you feel like it's easier for you to do this because you didn't get a cell phone until you were like, I don't know, 20 something?
no, it's not easy for me, really.
No.
Like I don't check social media that much. I check my emails, probably like my checking thing that I do.
Mhm.
I check my email. Did I get an email about this? Like for me, it's almost like I'll check my email to see if there's a tab that's open in my mind that I can close. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like if I get the answer to this question that I put out in this email, even if it's the stupidest thing, like I don't know, like what day the landscaping people are coming, right? Like it's just an open tab in my mind. Like what
Right.
day are they coming? And then until I get that answer, it's like I'm going to check my email to find out that. It's so stupid. Who cares? But it like I can close that tab in my mind and move on to the next thing, which is what that I think for me that's what the checking is. For other people it's other things like checking to see if
Right.
someone likes something or if a person you're interested in is paying attention to you or maybe business stuff. Am I going to make money on this thing if this
Mhm.
person, you
And
know,
I think it's just such a different, you know, world in some ways. Obviously, your phone is like the greatest thing that's ever been invented. Like you can literally find out anything that you want to find out in half a second anywhere you are. I would imagine it used to be that you wouldn't expect that you could get a hold of someone at any moment of any day, no matter where they were in the entire world.
yes.
Um, and now that is an expectation.
Right.
Now it's kind of like because it used to be like you had to wait until you saw someone at work the next day to ask
Right.
them about the thing, and now you can
Yes.
really contact them at any moment. So, I don't know, it's hard to say if it's a net positive or negative because, like, the access to information really is, like, crazy.
Yeah, it just doesn't allow us to be uncomfortable in the unknown, like which comes back to a lot of what listener questions that we have. Like we're not comfortable in the unknown because we don't have to do it very often. Like
Right.
only on the big picture stuff. Like if you have a question, it's answered, like whatever it is. Even like as I'm putting Brooks to bed at night, like we listen to a sleep story on my phone. So I have my phone there. So he'll be like, I wonder when the last time was that the Chiefs won the World Series before whatever. And he's like, look it up. And I'm like, no, you're going to sit and ponder that question during the night and tomorrow we'll look it up. Like he
Right.
doesn't want to wait until tomorrow to find out. He knows the answer is like 3 seconds away. Um, so it's that kind of thing, just not having to wait with patience in the unknown, which I think is a good practice.
Right, waiting is a whole
Waiting,
psychological, um
waiting. That's a
yeah.
challenge that I would give to anyone that's listening. If you're looking for a mindful moment, anytime you're waiting for someone to come out of their house, waiting for a Uber, waiting for a subway, just leave your phone and just wait and look around and like just be and wait. That's a good way to practice mindfulness, I think, because you're in it anyway.
Right. if you're forced to anyway. Yeah. I think that's a good part. And it will probably give you more peace of mind going into harder aspects of life, because there are things that you can't always get immediately. Test results, grades, like answers to things you need to know, like, and so it is helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard. It really is. And the more we do it, the quicker we want those answers. And I think as far as safety, like getting in touch with people, it's interesting because it's supposed to make you feel better, right? That like you can call someone or text someone at any time and know where they are and know that they're safe and they haven't had a car accident. But then it turns into this thing where like if you text someone they haven't gotten back to you for 2 hours, now you think they're dead in a ditch,
Right. Yeah. And
which
also, like,
makes it
then you can't
worse.
go off the grid for 2 hours. Like, no one
Yes.
has that right anymore. No one has
Yes.
that ability to be like, I don't want to talk to anyone for 6 hours. I'm just not going
Yes.
to answer anyone. That's like not socially acceptable.
Yes. Yeah. I definitely think that that should be everyone's right. And I think everyone should do that every now and then.
Agreed.
Um, I guess that's what the whole like notifications turned off thing. It's kind of like telling the world, like, I'm not hearing you now. So don't panic. I'm not dead. I'm just taking a break.
Right.
Um,
Exactly.
so
All right. Well, let's get into our show. I'm going to
let's do
try to
it.
do a little break, and we'll see if that works. Maybe I'll try it on a weekend, ease into it.
Yeah. Try, see if you can do a whole day of just like putting your phone down. And you'll notice so many times when you'll notice what you're looking for. You'll
I'm
notice like,
sure. Yeah.
why do I want to pick this up? What do I want to find out? What do I want to check? What do
Why
I
do I
need to
need this immediately?
Yeah.
Yeah. Take a look at our subscription episodes. If you're an oversharing subscriber, you get all the episodes a day early, ad free, and you get 2 bonus episodes a month. Our March bonus episodes will be out on this Thursday, and then the fourth Thursday of the month. Check it out. Getting such great feedback. And we're really excited to share this with you guys. And if you want to just try it, you can get a 7-day free trial. If you don't like it, you cancel. But to be honest, I feel like you won't cancel because it's really good. Do you have any spots left in your group sessions?
Yes, I almost always have room. Might not be your ideal time, but check it out at naomibernstein.com. I will try to fit you in where works for your schedule. And match people up based on kind of what they're going through and how I think different patients can challenge each other in group together. So it really is a beautiful experience, not just with me, but with other like-minded and not so like-minded listeners that can help us just challenge the stuff in the real world that gets you going. We practice handling some of that in group. So, and with me there as well. So it really is a great space. So check it out, naomibernstein.com.
Love it. All right, let's get into our episode. We have a voicemail later today. If you want to leave us a voicemail, you can call 646-363-6294, or you can email oversharing@betches.com. All right, let's get into our first overshare. I'll read it.
All right.
Hello, Jordana and Dr. Naomi. I go back and forth about whether or not or to what extent I'm triggered by this, but I have an issue that continues to bother me. My husband has a lot of very close friends. I know this is rare for a middle-aged man, so I think this is a good thing. My issue is that he has slept with nearly all of his female friends. For context, we met and started dating later in life. So all of these hookups with his friends happened when they were all single in their 20s and 30s. I have met these women and hang out with them regularly. They still share very close friendships. I'm trying really hard to just accept that this is part of the past and he can't change what happened before we were together. I'm also aware that asking him to end these friendships would lead to resentment. Many of these friendships have lasted for several years, maybe even decades at this point, and the sexual relationship ended several years ago. And the truth is that I actually like these women, and I would like to consider them my friends as well. If only I could get past my frustration about my husband having sex with them in the past. Is there any way you can help me get over this? A stuck in the past, Betch.
Yeah. Nearly all of his female friends is like a blessing and a curse, right? Because it's like there's always one there. Like it's never just the
Right.
time where like the one that he slept with isn't there. But it also kind of makes me feel, and I hope makes her feel, like none of them are that important or special. If he's just like having flings with all of them, then it probably wasn't that deep.
I agree. I think if it's the fact that it's so many means they're probably not that meaningful, good or bad. I don't know. But I mean, they are still friends.
Yeah.
So I mean, like again, the positives of that are like it ended well. No one hates anyone. Seems like they're all still quite friendly. And I guess the negatives is like I guess in the back of her mind, is she like, is he sexually attracted? I mean, you would imagine the question of is he sexually attracted to these people is yes, because he's had sex with
Right.
them. So I
Right.
think that's really the hard part. The idea of like my husband is sexually attracted to other women that I know for sure because he's already slept with them and they're around, I
And they're
guess in
like
it.
cool and
Right, yeah,
nice and
right.
like he gets along with them. So it's kind of like,
Could he be tempted? Right. I
right.
guess there's like that fear. To me, I feel like the way to get past this is to sort of ask him like why why it didn't work out with a lot of these women.
Right.
And I think you could ask that in a really curious way, of like, you have so many female friends that you used to date. It's in some ways it's really nice because clearly like you have a lot of healthy relationships, even when they could easily have not been, when someone had a sexual relationship, it didn't work out. But it does make me feel, which is true, a little insecure. Could you tell me a little bit more about like why you're with me and not any of
Yes.
these people?
Yes, she probably does need to hear just some affirmation about why she's different and why it's her and not them. She probably needs to hear that like from the horse's mouth to get that. But I really do get this. This is hard. It's a challenge, I think, in a lot of people when they start dating because if the other person's cool with it, you're cool with it. You're not going to be together, but like you can still hang out. It's not until you get into a serious relationship that sometimes there is this, I am uncomfortable with you being such good friends with someone that you've had this type of relationship with. And sometimes I'm glad she realizes that the answer is probably not, especially because there's so many of them, to ask him to not be friends with them anymore. Like that doesn't seem like a reasonable answer. And I think she knows that, which is good.
Right. I guess would the answer be different if it was like he is really good friends with a lot of his ex-girlfriends that he had long-term relationships with?
Right.
And I think the answer is like yes. I do think that like I do think it's a little weird to hang out with exes of yours that you actually dated when you're married to a new
Yes.
person. Like I do think there's something a little off about that. If you had a real relationship. And she's saying they
It
slept
sounds like it's like
together.
a
Yeah.
one nighter kind of thing. That's what
They're
it
all
sounds
single in
like.
a group and out and
Yeah.
about or whatever.
Yeah, I do think it's different if it's a relationship because there's that connection of the physical and the emotional, which is like powerful. Like
Mhm.
we loved each other and we slept together and we were best friends. Like all of that feels more powerful than like we didn't really love each other in that way. We didn't have that deep connection in that way. We just like got drunk one night and hooked up. Or I don't know. I don't know how deep it was, but I do think that's different. I'm interested to hear how people do that successfully. Like if they really have if their spouse is friends with multiple exes. And I don't mean friends like happy birthday text on
Right.
your birthday friends. I mean like hang out friends. And I think the idea that that would happen alone is like not many people could handle that. So then like is it really a friendship if it's like we're only friends but we can't hang out alone because we like
Right.
don't really trust ourselves and our partners don't really trust us to do that. So like what is this really?
Yeah. And I would have the same questions. I think it would definitely I don't think she should feel bad about feeling like a little insecure about this or frustrated about this and that it's kind of more annoying that they're great cuz she's like I like kind of want to hang out with you, but I also there's always like probably a little bit of something underneath that feels a little threatening.
Yes. I mean, when I first started dating Jeff, granted, this was 15 years ago, I was a different person and maybe I could handle it differently now, but he was friends with a girl that they weren't like in a serious relationship, but they had dated, they had slept together. And I remember him approaching me and being like, "Hey, I want you to meet so and so." And I was like, "Absolutely not. Um, you, you had a romantic sexual relationship with her. I'm not really interested in like all three of us like hanging out and being friends."
Right.
And he just deaded it. And I don't think he was ever resentful. So that's another good sign. Like that was different. He didn't really care. I think he was fine with it going away.
Right. Well, I think you need to have like a reason for the friendship. Like what I think that would help her too. Like, what are you getting out of this friendship? Because the hard part is it's like, and this is why I think it's hard to say you're friends with an ex, is like if you're sexually attracted to the person and you enjoy their company enough to be friends, and they're not like someone you share children with or somewhere where like if there's like
Right.
a reason for you to be in each other's lives, then I do think that it's like I would need to know what the pull there is. Like, why aren't you dating?
Right.
To me, that's the most important question. Why aren't you dating
Right.
any of these people?
Right. How do you know they're not the one for you? This, I don't know. I don't know if she said it, but this sounds almost like it would dismantle like a larger friend group. I don't know if you got that vibe that it's like not just these independent female friends, that it's more like a friend group. Or maybe I'm just in my mind imagining that because of the number of female friends that he has that he hooked up with, that they would all be like that was my actually I'm realizing as I'm speaking, that was my first like go to in my mind is like it's a big incestuous friend group where
Right.
like in their 20s they all just hooked up with each other. But if it really is these very separate independent female friendships that are not related,
Yeah. Then he could easily stop being friends
I
with them.
think
Yeah.
it would make me feel a little bit like let's just take some inventory here. Like why are you maybe he likes the attention from attractive women, like if that's the reason, then we might need to look into that. If it's really like you said, just going through and kind of being like, you know, tell me about your friendship with this person. Like, what do you guys talk about? What do you know, whatever it is. It sounds like she's hanging out with them too. Maybe they're partnered also. Yeah, I think it's worth if these are not part of a bigger friend group where you're like, I just don't want to mess up this whole friend group, leave it alone. If they're
Right.
independent, I would ask more about why he's keeping each one of these around and
I agree. I mean, because at this point, I can understand. This makes sense to me if you are in your 20s or 30s that there is this crew or these people. But now when you're in your 40s, like usually you're not like one big enormous crew.
right.
But like maybe you are. I don't know. I would need more context.
Yeah, and also like it's hard enough. We talk about friendship issues all the time. Like in the subscription episode, if you guys come and listen, we talk with someone who's like struggling with maintaining this friendship over the course of like 10 years. And it's kind of like, I don't know.
Right. You got to really make an effort. If you're like in your 40s,
Yes,
I'm assuming he's in their 40s because she says when they were single in their 20s and 30s. So I'm assuming they're no
right.
longer in their 20s and 30s.
Right. You have a
Um,
job, you have a new relationship, whatever else you have going on.
right.
It's
The
a
older
lot.
you get, the weirder it gets.
Right.
The more, you know what I mean? Like the more you have like your own distinctive family unit, I think the weirder it gets.
Yeah. So talk about it. And like you said, be curious. Like, I really like so and so. Like, what happened with you guys? Or like, I am feeling a little insecure about there's so many times when we're around these women that,
Right.
I would like it to be a little less if that's possible. But if these friendships are really valuable to you, I'd like to hear like what you feel when you're with them or what they're bringing to the table for you. And yeah, just being open and vulnerable and honest about it.
With Jeff, was it like, were you asking why he didn't date this person or wasn't dating this
He had
person?
already told me why he
Oh,
like I
okay.
knew about her and I knew why they broke up and I knew the way he was describing it. Like it was I think what was going on there was like she was still into him and he wasn't into her. And so when he told her that we were dating, she was kind of like, "Oh, I want to meet her,
Right.
like to stay in the not to be like discarded
Uh-huh.
completely." And so he brought it up to me like, "Oh, she wants to meet you." I knew why he wasn't with her anymore. So I didn't really I guess I did feel threatened. Now I'm looking back
Because
and
you
like
didn't want to meet her, so you did, I
right.
guess.
The
Yeah.
me now is like honestly like now I'd be like, "Sure. Let's meet
Well, you
her."
also have like the
Been married for
security of
15 years or
15 marriage,
plus.
right, and
Right.
3 kids.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, but that is it that but that's also true, like, a relationship is a lot more fragile.
Fragile in the beginning. Yep.
Right. Which is why I do think, like, he married her. There is a sense of, like, he married her, they're building a life together, like, that should help her, but also, like, that also should cause you to assess your
Yeah.
general friendships and what you're getting from them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's true. It is interesting for me to think back, like, what a different mindset I had, like,
Mhm.
right, like I was so much more insecure at that time than,
But also, I think the situation was more dangerous.
yeah,
Like, is it and I think that's the thing that people, we talk about the situational bias or whatever it is. Like, is it that you are such a more mature, more accepting, nicer person now? Or is it that you feel so secure in this relationship now that you're able to be that person?
yeah, 100%. And I always say, like, that is like one of the greatest gifts that I've gotten. And I don't even like, because for people that haven't met their person yet, I think sometimes the advice as a therapist is always like, you have to love yourself first before you can really meet your person. But the truth is, like, and I say to Jeff all the time, like, I am one of the greatest gifts that he's given me is the safety and security of feeling like so fully loved and safe. Like that
Right.
he'll never he's always gonna be there and he's always gonna be loyal, like, that just took that whole thing off my plate of, like, wondering, and am I gonna find someone who loves me, and are they gonna be loyal, and are they gonna cheat? It's like, that whole thought process is so draining and, like, worrying about who he's spending his time with and the his exes, and it just, like, takes up so much mental
Right.
space that once you can get past that, it's, like, a very safe, calming feeling that I think can also allow you to just be more confident in general, which is a sad thing. Like it's hard. It shouldn't take someone else.
Well, it's like the attachment theory, right? So it's like if you have like an insecure attachment, you can change to a secure attachment, but you have to be with a secure, you almost like
Yeah.
need to find the secure
Replace that.
person in order to prove it to be real.
Yes.
But
Yes.
but I think it is funny, like we give people too much credit and too much blame, I think, for how they act in certain scenarios. When really most of it is just due to like how the circumstances
Yeah.
have made them feel.
Yeah. It's true. Although it's almost like it's always been here. The security, the confidence. Like I feel like I almost needed that before I could feel like the full confidence, but like nothing's really that different. Like I'm the same person, but you just need your safe partner to make you like aware of it, but it's there. I'm literally the same person. Like my intelligence, my kindness, my physical appearance, like all my talents, things about me, like they're the exact same.
Right. That's true. But it's not dangerous. Like the situation, like
Right.
if it became a different situation, if the person, let's say he suddenly was acting in a way,
Yes.
like, would you be as calm, cool, and collected as you are? Probably not.
Yeah.
Even with all your years of wisdom.
Totally. Probably not, which is it's just it's that weird survival thing that our
Mhm.
brain does where we are so based on like human connection and like safety in numbers and like feeling like you have a partner or a tribe, and we don't really have the tribe anymore, so I think the partner is especially
Right. It's like the
important.
whole village now
Right.
is the
Yeah.
partner. Yeah.
Yes. Or like I don't know about for sure about this, but I think at a point, like, yes, your partner's the one that's gonna, like, lay down and die for you, where I'm talking about, like, caveman times, right?
Mhm.
Like, your partner who's, is the one that's gonna, like, throw himself in front of the woolly mammoth to protect you. But I do think that you lived in more of a tribal sense where there was, like, you felt safety being part of a little in-group, um that we don't have. People that are single, it's more like you're friends with other single women. It feels almost like competitive. You're not friends with like your single friends' mothers who are going to like come over and share their food with you. And then their sisters are also going to be like, it's not the same tribal feeling. So we are very dependent on finding a partner who we feel really secure with for that sense of safety. But we delude ourselves that it's about that we feel better about ourselves, but it's really just this kind of survival safety at the root of
Yeah.
it. Um, anyway, off on a little bit of a tangent there, but I do think she should talk to him about it and, yeah, see if she can get that sense of safety back.
Yeah. And I mean, it is nice that someone has positive relationships with a lot of people. I do find people who have close friends, it's usually a good sign of their ability to maintain long-term relationships.
Yeah, or like if you guys have a fight or something, I bet you he's probably really kind of like calm and not super angry and vengeful and like, he's probably a good person to be able to accept a change or something that feels different or not assess blame all the time, which is what you have to do to have these things end okay.
No, it's true. And I mean, like, the truth of the matter is, like, people that you're married to find other people attractive. So,
Yeah,
like, if that's the fear,
that's
that's
going to happen no
that's
matter
just a
what.
fact of life. All right, let's get into our ethical dilemma.
Let's
Should we do
move
our
on.
Betchicist?
Sure, I will read this. Hi, Naomi and Jordana. I love your podcast and I'm always listening on my commute. Thanks for brightening my morning train rides. My husband and I recently moved to a new city where we don't know many people and have no close friends. He just got a new job. We have a toddler. My husband and his friends go on a friends trip every year and have since college. It's usually a weekend at an Airbnb somewhere in the fall. It's really important to my husband and often the only time throughout the year he gets to see his closest friends all in one place. We are 35. This year, his friends switched the trip to be a 5-day trip in August. With starting a new job, he won't be able to take as much vacation time this summer as we usually do. So he's telling HR he needs time for a trip we already planned with our toddler in June and this trip in August. I feel so triggered by this. On one hand, I want to be supportive of a trip and time with friends. That means a lot to him. And we do already have a family lake trip on the books in June. But the idea that his only time off in July and August, when we would usually take a beach trip or something as a family, is instead going to be a 5-day guys trip. It's a lot to swallow for me. I'm kind of surprised any of these guys are getting away with this, almost all married with young kids. It isn't a cheap trip, so the use of PTO, travel money, and leaving me to solo parent for this amount of time right in the prime of family vacation season is really annoying me. Should I talk to him about this or just acknowledge I'm annoyed but don't want to rain on his parade? Help, a wanting to be supportive but pretty annoyed batch.
Okay.
Okay.
Um, this is an interesting dilemma. I kind of feel like she's overreacting a little bit. She's got the trip in June. He has a larger group of friends. He doesn't want to probably, they're all talking about this 5-day trip. I don't think he wants to be the one to be like, well, I can't go. And it seems like he really enjoys this trip.
Right.
And I think that, I mean, we've talked about this before. I do think that friendships become so devalued once
Yeah.
you are married and have kids. And I don't necessarily think it should be like that. Like, I do think that there is you do get a lot from having all sorts of different kinds of relationships, and it's not like he's saying I'm not going on a vacation with you. I think he's just saying like he's making room for both, and I think if I were her, I'd plan a trip with my friends for a different weekend that he can watch the kids.
Yes. Yeah. I totally agree, but I will say my initial reaction
Mhm.
would have been very similar.
Okay.
And 5 days, I've never gone away by myself for 5 days. It sounds amazing. That would be great. Like,
Must be nice.
must be nice. Yeah, so I could see her being triggered, and I feel especially with a toddler, I would feel the same way. That 5 days seems kind of like a lot. A weekend is more typical, I think, like a Thursday to a Sunday or a Friday to a Monday seems like a good amount of time to go away on a friend's trip. However, so I totally, especially at this stage, I could totally see why she's triggered. But I do think that what you just said, if that was the norm, I think it would create a lot more balance. Like we deal with all these like friendship issues, and the nuclear family becomes so powerful.
Right.
It's like everyone just gets obsessed with their partner and their kids. And I think it is really nice to be able to maintain that balance. And it is kind of injecting the culture as a whole with his friend group. And just, I have a hunch, prediction. Not all these guys are going to be going away for a 5-day trip in August. Right back.
Okay.
I think a lot of
Yeah.
the significant others are going to come back, and it's going to turn into a long weekend from a 5-day. That's my prediction. Because
Should she be one of them?
I'm going to say what you said, which is I think it would be good to lean into a culture where you're with the three of you are together 99.9% of the time. So
Right.
5 days in the grand scheme of things to cultivate other relationships and friendships, I think is a really good thing. I get why it's triggering. If I were in her position, I'd feel a little bit, maybe there's a little bit of anxiety there. I don't think the idea of like the fairness of like, we usually have a trip in August and now we're not going to, you have every weekend, all year,
And your trip in June.
and your trip in June.
Right.
So I get that it's triggering. Like I said, I've never had the courage, I guess, or whatever, like bucked enough of it to go away for 5 days by myself. But I do think it's really important to nurture friendships.
That's what she should say. It's so courageous that you feel like you can leave for 5 days.
Oh my
Must
God.
be-
If she said that, she would get like the wife of the year award. But
You're a hero.
yeah. Yeah. That's
No,
not how she's feeling,
yeah.
but
And I think it is probably annoying. We've talked about this before, where it feels like a lot of mothers would maybe feel like their own sense of shame for leaving for 5 days when they have a
yes.
toddler. And he maybe doesn't feel that.
Right. And interesting, the flip side, right? If a mom went away and the father, and this is obviously stereotypical, but if the mom went away and the father said, it is really courageous of you to do this, that would feel
Amazing.
amazing and
Yeah.
accurate and like important. Like you are more than just a mother. And like I know it's hard and scary to break out of that role and trust me to handle things while you're gone and to trust that you're still a good mother if you leave. So it is interesting because it would, like, a mom would never really say that to a dad. It almost
Right.
sounds like ridiculous.
Right, because most men don't find it hard to leave
Right.
for as long as they want to leave. So I get that. I mean, this would be it sounds better coming from a man to a woman than the other way around.
Yes.
But I think that she should also like try to get into that mindset as
Plan
well.
her
Like
own trip.
yeah, like I want a 360-degree life also. And again, that's not to say that your husband and child shouldn't be like the number one priority or the main focus of your time. But I think that like other things can still be a priority. Other
Yeah.
things can still be important pillars of your life that are I think that like they're often treated as like things that you are so unnecessary and egregious and like why would you ever make this choice when there's another choice that could be more helpful to like the A team.
Yes.
And I don't think that that's like necessarily like the right I think that's like the societal default, but I don't
Yes.
necessarily think that it should be.
Yes. So I love this question for that reason. I think if more people, moms especially, were able to, and this is a question about a dad, but I would say, okay, I'm planning a trip for,
July.
yeah,
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, exactly. I think she should plan her own trip. And I do think I mean, the nuclear family is great, but it's one way of doing things and it's like obsessive. It's like everyone's just upset. It's even like said to you when I was at your house, and I noticed the same thing here. It's like you are with the people in your house, and then you have photos of the people
In
that
your
are always
house. Yeah.
in your house. Like, why don't we have more photos of people that are not actually here all the time, that so we could look at them?
Right. And like how many people have photos of their friends in their
Right.
house? None. It's
Yes.
like considered weird or socially unacceptable, but like why should it be?
Yes, I
Right?
totally agree. It's like this obsessiveness with this nuclear family that also kind of like ostracizes people that don't have that. It's almost like you're not okay until you have this like nuclear family that you're completely obsessed with, and then live with them all day, spend all your time with them, have pictures all over your house with them. It's like if someone came from another planet, they would almost, it's like it's because of that safety thing. It's because like it really
Yeah.
does boil down to that. Like, these are my people, my ride or dies, and I'm gonna like cling to them. But I think it's important to make room for friendships. So I get it. I would be triggered too. Breathe and
Yeah.
plan your own 5-day trip.
Should she say something? I think she could say, and she said, because she says, should I talk to him about this? Just acknowledge I'm annoyed, but don't want to rain in his parade. I think she could say if she wants to be honest and not secretly resentful. I'm glad you're getting your trip in with your friends. I know it means a lot to you. I'm a little anxious
Mhm.
about you going for 5 days, and I'm a little sad that we're not doing a trip in August for the family. Doesn't
Yeah.
mean I don't think you should go. I just want to plant that seed before you go.
Just yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I I get it.
You could say she could say like I would prefer it if it were 3 days, but I don't think she should say like you can't go for 5 days. I think she should say like 3 days maybe made a little more sense to me, but I get it. This is a big trip. I know you guys all really love this and you do it every year.
Right.
So brave.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I think she can express herself. The other thing she can acknowledge and maybe acknowledge to him is like my initial reaction is this. Like I'm anxious. I
Right.
think sometimes this works for couples too. Instead of being like you're doing the wrong thing because I feel anxious about it. That means that you're making a choice that's not fair or reasonable to me, versus communicating it. And like, when I heard this, my initial feeling was this. I think it's coming from this place for me, whatever that might be for her. But I do want to work on moving through that fear and anxiety and being really happy for you and having you enjoy your time fully. I think that's really important for couples, that she lets him go in a way where she can feel genuinely happy for him. And I do think if she knows that when she plans her 5-day girls trip, he's going to be genuinely happy for her. And
Right.
that is a really great way to have a relationship, instead of you keep swapping these trips and everyone's like kind of silently resentful when the trips are happening. Everyone ends up going like with a little guilty feeling in the back of their mind, which does put a damper on things.
Totally agree. I think that's the way to do it. And the honest vulnerable way that's going to make you guys even stronger of a team.
Yeah. And admit, like, I think just last thing on this, when you're approaching something as a couple with your partner and you acknowledge like there's something I'm scared of here, instead of like you're being disrespectful and mean and selfish, right?
Right.
Because the truth is like you know that it's going to be fine. You're going to be fine with your toddler. Like, you're going to be fine. There is a fear there that I think if you can acknowledge that instead of making him feel like he's being selfish, or that would be ideal.
Agreed. It's going to make the summer much better for both of you.
Yes, agree.
Let's do some intentions. We have a voicemail, and I have to say, in the past couple weeks, I have been seeing. I've always said this. I follow the emails. I have been seeing so many emails with the similar sentiment to this one. So
All
I'm glad
right,
we can
let's hear it.
tackle it.
Hi, Jordana and Dr. Naomi. I am leaving a voicemail because I'm wanting to know if you can give me an intention. I am a social worker that works for the federal government, and I am finding that it is becoming just very difficult to keep myself grounded amidst all the chaos that is happening and that we're all seeing, on the news and all those things, but also actually at my job. I'm sure, as federal employees have gotten a lot of various emails that have, confusing language or threatening language that if we don't comply with such and such, we could be at risk. And, not only is it confusing and frustrating, but it just takes time away from my actual job, which is to be there for, for veterans in particular. And so I'm trying to find an intention that I can say to myself when we get new emails or when, there's things that come up in the workplace or outside of the workplace but that pertain to work, that I can tell myself to kind of calm myself down. I know that's probably a pretty large ask, but I think more than anything, everything feels so out of my control. And I know that in general, life is out of our control, but I think sometimes it feels so out of control, but also I can't escape it. Like I'm seeing it wherever I go. And it has really been weighing on me. And it's, I think I see it again, not only in the media, not only at work, but I also see it with, the veterans that I work with that are also feeling it, because, they're looking to us and wondering if certain assistance will be taken away. And, I don't have answers for them more than, anybody else at, kind of more of a local level. So, that's kind of a large ask. But I am just looking for intention to tell myself that that can kind of ground me, to be able to recenter myself and just at the very least continue to do my job, especially as it, has been coming up more and more throughout, the workplace in particular, with just getting all these emails, like we have never had in the past. So yeah, anyways, I love the show. I recommend it to everybody. You guys are amazing. And, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, this is really hard, I think, on so many levels. There's like the obvious basic safety of losing your job, which is
Right.
really, really scary. Um, and then I think there's like the rhetoric around like cleaning out the federal government of like the waste. And it's like, am I the waste?
Right.
Yeah.
Totally. And what that could do to just like your feelings of self-worth, um, and your ability to, especially she's a social worker. So her ability to like she's supposed to be like the one that's calming and helpful
Right.
and grounded for everyone else, while simultaneously being like feeling like, it sounds like the way she's describing it sounds like a little like bullying.
Yeah.
Um, like she's being made to just feel like she has no worth and must prove it.
Yes.
Um, so to kind of juggle those two things is a very unique, really difficult situation. So I do empathize a lot with that.
Totally. And then to, have to be present and have that calming vibe when she's meeting with her clients. And yeah, I mean, and on top of that, like I give her a lot of credit being like a social worker for the federal government working for veterans. Like she's doing really, really, really good work and probably working really, really hard. Like I know that I can only assume what her caseload is, and it's probably enormous already. So then to on top of that, be feeling like you have to add to your plate to justify yourself throughout the middle of your day. Um, and just the general threat to her income and her livelihood is really,
Right.
really hard.
It feels like she has for some reason the vision that comes to mind is like in the movie Titanic when the violinists are like playing as the ship is going
Right,
down, just like
right.
pretending that nothing is happening, or
Yes.
have to do that while like simultaneously in the background people are like screaming and throwing themselves off the boat.
Totally. It's so true. This is really hard.
And we see, I've got, again, like this, to me, this is a lot of people. So I think, I don't know if that's helpful at all, but I personally, I read these emails. There's so many emails with this very similar sentiment of people who work for the government feeling so much fear, feeling like they can't spend any money because even if they haven't been let go, that there's a feeling like they might be at any moment. So just feeling, I mean, we discussed this sort of at the top of the episode, this feeling of like, how feeling secure can sort of optimize your whole existence and make you like the best version of yourself.
Yes.
And the counter to that is like feeling deeply insecure, or feeling like there's a fear of not having your basic needs being met or not having any income, can kind of bring out a much more tense side of you.
Yes. Yeah. And I think it's basic needs, and it's also like your identity around being good at what you do, and feeling like the people that you're working for feel like you're good at what you do, and you serve a valuable purpose. So both of those things at the same time are really hard to handle. And then like staying calm and going into a session with somebody and trying to calm them down when you're like, you know what, I don't fucking know what's gonna happen. Like, yeah. Again, what we talk about a lot is like trying to relax into the unknown, like notice the thoughts around it. Oftentimes, and I do this sometimes, I do this with my patients a lot, like, okay, what is the worst case scenario? And like, are you going to be okay? So like, let's say you do lose your job, like having kind of your backup plan of what's going to happen next and how you're going to handle it, to kind of be like, okay, I at least like, I'm not going to die. Like I will shift. I maybe will downside, whatever you're going to have to do to just kind of be like, all right. Like some people don't want to even go there because they don't want to, I don't know, they don't want to like manifest it, or they don't want to freak themselves out or whatever. But I do think sometimes kind of being like, okay, I have a plan for what's going to happen if
The worst case
the worst
scenario
case
happens,
scenario
yes.
happens. So that way in these moments, you can kind of like trust that there is another path for you to unfold that you might not know about, that maybe will end up being better for you. Maybe it won't, but that there is a different path that might be the path that you're meant to be on.
Almost like an aversion therapy. Like we've talked about this with like fear of being cheated on or something. Like
Right.
just, what's the worst case? Let's live
go
it. Let's
there.
play it out. Yeah.
Play it out. And like, you're going to be okay, whatever that means, and I don't know exactly what that means. And it's not going to be great. But I think the idea of like, as long as that doesn't happen, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I'll be okay as long as like I don't lose my job. It's like, no, you can't really think like that because you might. And so you have to
Right.
be able to be okay. Otherwise, you're just petrified all day of that. So I think trusting in that there might be another path for you that you're not aware of yet. And, I think also trusting, coming back to like her own self-worth as a social worker. Like just because if the government decides that I'm not worthy because of whatever reasons they decide that I'm waste or whatever they say, that's not the case. Like
Right.
I believe in my own self-worth. I know that I'm a good person. I know that I'm a good social worker. I know that I'm good at what I do. And I'm not going to allow this to like rip my sense of self out from underneath me. So that combination of like, I'll be like, my safety will be okay. I might have to downsize. I might have to move in with my parents. I don't know whatever the worst case scenario is for this person. And also, I'm still a good social worker and I'm still good at what I do, regardless of what the feedback is that I get from this administration.
Right. And those people don't know you and don't know you, like
At
what
all.
the ins and outs of your day, and don't see you in your sessions, and don't see like they know there's no questions that they could ask about how you spend your time that would
Yes.
really quantify how good you are at your job.
Yes. Yeah. So that's why the actionable step here is like the email comes in. Then you get this flood of all these things like, I'm not worthy. I hear all this rhetoric that I'm wasteful. What if I lose my job? I'm going to, all that stuff comes flooding in. But then what do you do? Right. So I think she has to kind of like I say a lot of times, like give yourself that. It's like haste makes waste, in the sense of like, if you don't give yourself 10 minutes to like go through that process of whatever it is, I'm going to give you your intention, think of your intention, allow the feelings to exist, relax into the sensations that you're feeling in your body. And then once you do that kind of process and you come up with your intention, like just answer the email, just handle it, because you can handle it, and then come back to your presence. So like it's not easy. Like she said, I don't even like I'm glad she has expectations for this that are like relatively low. Like I don't even know if that's possible for you to calm me down.
Right.
But I do think it is. I think if you do all the things we just mentioned, and then so the intention that I wrote for her is, and this is what you can come to in this moment. Doesn't mean you're not going to be physically activated, and you do need to have time to kind of let that sit, breathe, exist. But I know my worth. I trust my path, handle it, and come back to the moment in front of me. And the handle is like, give them whatever they want, right? You're not going to beat the system by like, not doing it. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not in this world, but I think the best thing to do is just answer the email and then come back to whatever it is that you're doing in that day, connecting with that person that's in front of you. You're a social worker. It's really hard. I think you need to give yourself those 10 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever you need when you get that email at some point, and here's another thing. And I've learned this, like, don't check your email right before you're about to go into a session, knowing that like there's a chance that you're going to get a triggering email and not have time to process it. Like I would check your email or open the email or whatever when you have that 10, 15 minutes to go through this process of like saying your intention. I trust my worth. I trust my path. Like taking a few deep breaths. I think that's another, and that's for anyone out there. Like if you don't have the bandwidth to deal with an email, don't check your email.
Yeah, I think that like, I mean, we talk about that a lot in terms of like bringing up like a topic you want to discuss with your spouse or your partner or something like that. But I think it's just as important for anything else you're dealing with.
Yeah. So totally validated. I see all of you out there that are struggling with like not having job security and just this. I mean, it's like almost rip the Band-Aid off already, like it's just
right. It's like emotional, like torture.
Yeah.
For
The
to just
unknown.
not knowing. Yeah.
And it's almost like if you're going to do it, just do it. We don't need like a warning and a pre-warning and an email and a secondary email, and like figure out a way to do it without torturing everybody in the meantime.
Especially people whose jobs is again to keep everyone else grounded and safe and feeling okay. Like,
yes, totally.
Don't torture the people that you hire to help others who are mentally unstable.
Yeah. I keep thinking of, and this is probably for the older people in the crowd, the movie Office Space.
Oh yeah, I know
which
that
is
movie.
Still like one of my favorite movies probably of all time. And the guy where they find out there's like someone coming in that's going to start firing people, and the one guy that's like nervous and like he keeps talking about it, and I'm like, that's everybody right now. Like that character who like can't stop thinking about whether or not everyone's going to get fired is like everybody. So I'm picking up his energy.
Right. And it's hard. And I totally what you see what she says about like it's on the news. It's all of her coworkers. It's all of her patients. It's like hard. Like where does she get this 10 minutes to decompress? Like I do think it's all encompassing. And I mean, I think there's some level of like, okay, we're in this together, but maybe it also feels like you're in competition with everyone to see if who's the lucky one who gets to keep working or something. I don't know.
And this isn't like, don't check your social media. It's like everywhere.
Yeah.
So I hear you. Hopefully the intention can help you. And like that 10 minutes that you can just like allow yourself to feel all the things that you're feeling, but like look forward. I trust my worth. I trust my path. Give yourself those few minutes and then come back to being in the moment of whatever that next thing that is in front of you as much as you can. But yeah, this is hard. Thanks for writing in.
Let's do our triggered segment. We are not keeping anything bottled up, and neither is Angry Orchard, our sponsor for today's episode. Angry Orchard is here to shake things up by sponsoring our triggered segment, helping you guys get that sweet release. Whether it's a petty annoyance or a full-on rage spiral, your feelings deserve to be felt. And then let go. Write or call in and tell us what you're triggered about this week, and we'll help you uncap all the feelings. All right, do you want to read our first one?
I will read this. Hi, Dr. Naomi and Jordana. Thank you both for putting together such an impactful podcast. I listen every week and find that I learned so much and have gained many new perspectives that have helped me in my own life. Awesome. My trigger scenario happened over the holiday break, and I still cannot get it out of my head. I am currently pregnant and was 15 weeks along when my husband and I were at our favorite neighborhood pub with his parents, brother, aunt, uncle, and cousin. We were all sitting at the bar for well over an hour as we waited for our table when I heard my father in law, 5 seats down the bar on my right, ask the bartender if they've lost a lot of income recently. I thought that was a weird question to ask, and the bartender tilted his head, also confused, and asked, "What do you mean?" My father in law replied, "Has the bar lost a lot of income since that one," jerking his thumb in my direction, "stopped drinking?" My jaw dropped. My husband was sitting a couple seats away on my left and didn't hear the exchange. And the family sitting in between us didn't even blink an eye. I looked at him and said, "Did you just call me a lush?" He was like, "Well," and I replied, "Are you really implying that I drink too much?" He answered, "Well, I wouldn't say that in a rude way." I was at a loss for words and just said, "Wow, okay," and looked away, remaining quiet for the duration of the night. While my husband and I are social drinkers and enjoyed going out on date nights to bars pre-pregnancy, I've never been inappropriately drunk in front of his parents. I was so offended that he would make this remark and even more shocked that he didn't laugh it off as a rude joke, but rather doubled down that he thinks I do drink a lot. I tried to work through this myself, but ended up mentioning it to my husband 2 weeks after it happened. And while he agreed that it was inappropriate and not funny, he defended his dad, saying that he knows his dad doesn't really mean it and I shouldn't think the worst of him, which I'm finding hard not to do after being spoken about in this manner. My in laws are not mean people, but I found them to be very inappropriate at times in their comments and actions. Leading up to our wedding 2 years ago, I saw a therapist to work through my anxiety about joining their family, handling their remarks, and what I consider to be odd and off putting behavior, and having my identity linked to them with the changing of my last name. Post wedding, it felt like we were in a good spot and I could brush off their quirky behavior. But now, with the pregnancy, it has become a struggle yet again, especially being the butt of his jokes. How triggered can I be? Thank you, a pregnant lush.
Huh. Here's the thing. I think as a one-off bad joke, which again, I don't really feel like makes much sense if she has never been drunk in front of them. It just seems like a person who likes being inappropriate, like trying to be annoying almost.
Yes.
Which again, I feel like it's more indicative. I think I think it's more triggering to her because she's like related to this man than it is even the comment, because everything she's saying about the comment sort of supports the idea that she doesn't drink that much
Yes.
or in an inappropriate way.
Yeah. Yes. I agree. I feel like I know this person and I think he's just, and I'm not justifying it because it was rude and untrue and all the reasons why it would be triggering, because it's sort of like, you don't know me at all. You're accusing me of being something I'm totally not in front of other people. That makes it like the bartender and whoever else was there. Like, I get that it's totally triggering. I'm going to validate that with the score. But I think he might just like not know how to engage with her. Like, I think some people, that's the way they know how to engage, is by like making jokes. And when there's no good joke, they just make a bad joke. Like,
Right.
when there's no like appropriate, like accurate joke, he's going to be like, "Well, you did drink some alcohol at some point. So like, I'm going to try to acknowledge you and your pregnancy by making this joke that's bad." and not accurate and annoying. And it does sound like this is not the first time. Like, I would almost find this more triggering if this was the first time, but she's already literally been to therapy
Right.
about this exact thing.
Yeah, I agree. It'd be more triggering if they had a great relationship. He was totally normal, like nice, quiet person, and suddenly made this like random joke that didn't make sense, that was kind of mean-spirited.
Yeah.
But that doesn't sound like the case. And maybe it's more annoying because it's not the case, but I think it should be less trigger. I could see it being more annoying, but less triggering because of that.
Yeah. She knows this about this man. She knows how he interacts with people and her, to the point where she was like, I need to just like go to therapy to deal with this. So this might be a case for like, review your therapy notes, like whatever it is that you did and how you learned to deal with this when you were dealing with this initially. It might be coming up more now again because you're bringing like a new child into the world with this family, and there's like a new resurgence of like, wow, now we're really combining.
Right.
And maybe I don't want my kid to be exposed to this. I don't want my kid to be associated with this. Like, that might be what's making the sensitivity come back. Like, I think she handled it. And now that she's pregnant, the sensitivity around these off color remarks is coming back. And I could see why, because it's like, oh gosh, how is
Yeah.
this going to go if he makes a comment about my baby or my body, or, the way I'm parenting, or something that feels super sensitive.
Totally. And I think it's hard when it's like, if you have in-laws and you're like, I just don't like you.
Yeah.
And like, we're in the same family, not by choice. And now I kind of have to just figure out how to be around you for like the rest of my life and the rest of my kids' lives. But that makes the thing that we were talking about in an earlier one about the Betchicist even more important. Carving out your own 360-degree life that isn't just about your nuclear and extended family.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. And I I think you have to just take nothing personally from this person. Like,
Right. Write off their opinion as just like not important.
yeah. I don't even think it's his opinion. That's my gut instinct, is that he would have made that joke with any pregnant person that he ever saw have a drink ever. That's the feeling that I get. Like, just to be able to have something to say and be friendly to the bartender. Like, I've seen this. I don't know why this feels so familiar to me. There's like people that will just like do anything to, especially like if it's almost like there's a stranger in the room, like the bartender somehow like just wants to, be friendly and engage a stranger, and this is his way of doing it. So I would just take nothing personally when it comes from him or whoever else is in this culture of just like making offhand remarks that are potentially offensive, and just be like, okay, the sky is blue, and this person's going to make an annoying comment.
And you're not like a drunk.
Yeah.
So let it go. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd give it a 3.5.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll give it a 4. I'll give it a 4. I just want to validate that it's annoying that he made it seem in front of other people, like, especially when you're pregnant and you're
Yeah,
like, I
that's
don't want to
true.
seem like I'm sitting here pregnant. You're making it seem like I'm like this like crazy alcoholic that just like can't handle myself.
That's fair. And then the dad, it's like the husband, it's kind of annoying that he wasn't like, yeah, he's just like really irritating like that. I'm sorry. Like that he was defending him.
Yes.
So fine.
Well,
I'll get
probably so used to it. Like, I'm sure.
right. It's like, how could you take anything he says?
Yes.
Seriously. All right. I'll give it I'll go with your 4. I've
All
been
right.
persuaded.
Sounds good. But yeah, just the sky is blue. Your father-in-law's rude. You got to just move on.
Exactly. All right. Let's do one more. Hi, Jordana and Dr. Naomi. Thank you so much for all that you both do. Big fan of oversharing and everything in the Betches universe. I have a quick triggered for you. I live in a city-like suburb in the Boston area, meaning I have a standalone house, driveway, and backyard. But my neighbor's house is quite close to mine. My driveway runs between our houses, and that is about all the space there is in between our houses. Twice in the past few weeks, I have been awoken by the sound of extremely loud shoveling and snowblowing at my neighbor's house. The first time this happened, I was annoyed, checked my phone. I saw that it was 6:30 a.m. and shrugged it off. I think 7 a.m. is technically the time activities like these are allowed to commence, so I got over it pretty quickly. However, something similar happened a few weeks later, and this time when I checked my phone, I was shocked when I saw that it was 2:30 a.m. I know that this is part of the price I pay when choosing to live in a house that is quite close to others. Am I wrong to be triggered by 2:30 a.m. snow removal activities, especially when this particular storm was quite light by the Boston standards, only about 2 inches, so I'm not sure why it was necessary to shovel the second the snow stopped at 2:30 a.m. Thank you, a cold and grouchy Betch. P.S. It's not just me being a light sleeper. It also woke up my 2 other roommates whose rooms are all in different parts of the house.
Snow blowing at 2:30 in the morning is obscene, ridiculous, crazy.
Yeah.
Valid. That's if you want to brush the snow off of your car, that's your choice. I think using any like large machinery or even like loud scraping, shoveling of 2 inches of snow at 2:30 in the morning is,
Right.
I don't know.
I kind of get why the guy is doing it. Like if we talk about the fear, like I think there's this big fear of I won't get to it quick enough and then it'll be too much to handle at once. You know, they always say you've got to like just do it as it comes. Like I understand why the person who's living there is like clearly very afraid of not being able to handle whatever snow comes their way or getting out in the morning. However, they also live next to
Yeah.
people who live a house next to them, and you can't just do whatever you want. That's being a bad neighbor.
Yeah. I agree. I almost feel bad for the neighbor, like the amount of neuroses that they must have to be like laying awake all night and being like, okay, now's the moment. I can't take it anymore. I'm going out now at 2:30 is like, I could even see like 11 or 5, but like 2:30 is like the literal middle of the night.
They couldn't sleep until it was gone.
They
Yeah.
couldn't sleep. I feel bad for them. They couldn't sleep until it was gone. But yeah, this is really triggering. I could see this, but
What do you even do in that scenario? Like
I definitely think she can go over nicely, or if she has their number, send them a text or leave a note or
little passive
something.
aggressive note, something like that. Yeah.
Or just like very clearly, please refrain from loud scraping, shoveling, and or snow blowing
Between these hours.
because I can't. It woke the entire house up in the middle of the night. I think that's a very reasonable.
Yeah.
ask.
And I think anyone who got that note, if they were a reasonable person, would control themselves between those hours. And if that didn't work, I would call the cops.
Yeah, I guess.
If the person didn't stop after getting the note or getting told that.
Yeah, hopefully like this will not be an ongoing thing, but I do think, you're going to live next to them next winter too. Like they need to be aware to give them the benefit of the doubt. She said snow removal activities. So maybe the snow blowing wasn't at 2:30 in the morning. Maybe. I think any reasonable person, if you say no snow blowing at 2:30 in the morning, is going to have to understand that. It's
right.
Yeah, I don't think I know she's trying to say, well, I chose to live in a house that was next to other people, but like
so did they.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
exactly.
If they lived next to no one, they could do whatever they wanted at all hours of the night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. We actually have a neighbor. Our next door neighbor has these like Christmas lights that I guess they're like permanent Christmas lights. They're all over their house and they're up
Still?
but like all year.
Wow.
That's like kind of not that many people, but there are people that have these lights that they're like permanently on their house. And if it's Christmas, it'll be like red and green. And if it's July 4th, they'll be like red, white, and blue. And they can just change them depending on the holiday. But they just leave them up like these blue lights. And our house is like pretty close to our neighbors. So like it's light. Like the light comes into our bedroom window at night. And thankfully we have like pretty good blinds. So we just close them all. But I'm like, this is just such a weird, quirky thing that you have to have lights every night,
right?
365.
And they're blue?
Right now they're like a pale blue.
Weird. Do you want me to say something when I come next month?
I mean, we have good shades, so it doesn't bother. But sometimes I do like, I almost like to leave the shades open a little so I can wake up with the sun.
Right.
Like, I like to see the sun come in the morning so I could wake up naturally. So I can't really do that because they have these blaring lights that I get it if it's Christmas time or whatever. But
Would you ever
it's
say anything?
March. If it was bothering me and I really couldn't sleep, I'm a good sleeper, so it doesn't really bother me. But if it was bothering me, I probably would be like, hey, would you mind,
Right.
if you want to leave them on until 10, turn them back on at 5.
Yeah, that's fair.
That would be fine. But like in the middle of the night, 3 a.m., you need like all these lights all over. And I even
Waste
get
of
it.
energy.
It's honestly though, I think about that too. I'm like, for what?
Right.
Yeah.
Who's enjoying it at 4 a.m.?
Right.
No
I could
one.
even say, okay, it's St. Patty's Day, and that night or that day, you want to put up your green lights. But like literally 365 days a year, it's just weird.
Yeah, I get
Um,
it. All right.
so-
Well, I would give sleep, I've been woken up by a snowplow at like 8 a.m. and been annoyed.
Yeah.
So I will rate this quite highly.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a 6.5.
Yeah. I was gonna say 7. 2:30 in the morning. If it's a snow blower, I'll give it a 6 if it was just shoveling. If it's an actual snow blower at 2:30 in the morning, I think that person they just need help with their
Jail.
anxiety because like you said, I feel bad. Like they're somehow so panicked that
Right.
they're not going to be
It's
able
not
to
like
get
a
their
fun
car out.
activity, right? It's like they're having a wild party. Like,
Yes. Crazy. Yeah, I'll give it a 7. 2:30 in the morning, snow blowing. That's insane.
yeah, being woken up at any time, I think amplifies a trigger.
Yeah.
Like at least 2 points because it's like you're in. You know what I mean?
You're like-
especially if you're someone where it takes you a bit to fall asleep. Like for me, a lot of the times it takes me a while to fall. If I finally fall asleep, deep in a sleep, and then I'm
Yes.
woken up by something like unnecessary,
Yes.
I get very, very irritated.
Yeah,
So
it's irritating. I think that's honestly like at times that's one of the more challenging parts of being a parent to like an older kid, like when they're a baby. It's like, okay, you're a baby, you need to eat, or like,
right.
but once they're older and they're like, Brooks will be like, I had a bad dream, and I'm like, how
outta
bad
here."
was it? How bad was it really?
Someone must have died in your. Someone had to
Oh.
have died in your sleep.
Yeah, and sometimes he'll be like, I had a bad dream that like whatever. And I'm like, that doesn't sound that bad. Can you just handle it?
I feel
So,
you. Sleep's very important
yeah.
to
And
our
there's
family.
yeah, when you're woken up, it's like your physiology, like you're just not your best self in that moment, So those are challenging, especially if it's a neighbor who you don't love or care about and an activity that seems unnecessary.
Agree. Don't wake the
Validated.
bear.
Yeah.
7. Okay.
Let Angry Orchard help you celebrate the sweet release. What better way to toast to that relief than with the crisp, refreshing flavor of Angry Orchard? Made with real fruit, 2 apples in every 12-ounce can or bottle, it's your life. It's the bold beverage that keeps it real. I love Angry Orchard. It really brings me back into a moment feeling like I am sitting in an orchard and I am eating 2 delicious crisp apples, except I'm having a drink. It's really delicious. Don't get angry, get Orchard. Learn more and find a hard cider near you at angryorchard.com/locations. Follow Angry Orchard on Instagram at Angry Orchard. That's our time.
Great work today.